Why hello there! Today's video is all about what to do if you don't have one true passion and why that's actually okay. If you're anything like me, you probably have many different interests and trouble picking just one. Many of us, if not most, are likely multi-passionate. And while I don't believe there's anything inherently wrong with that, as you may have already guessed by me making this video, I would argue that being a creative generalist isn't always praised by society. Unless, of course, you happen to be a triple threat writer, actor, director, celebrity. But my guess is that you're probably not. In any case, if your multi-passionate and or generalist nature has caused friends or family members to call you non-committal and scratch their heads about what exactly you do, you are not alone. We are in this together. There may have been a time in my life where I thought I had one specific passion, but it's not really like that anymore. And I don't think this phenomenon, let's just call it that for now, is specific to 20-somethings only, assuming that you're somewhere around my age. Because I definitely have met and know people who are in their 30s, 40s, 50s, etc. who are still figuring out what they want to do with their lives, just like you and I. So in an effort to encourage anyone feeling down about their calling or lack thereof, I wanted to share a few lessons that have helped me find some career and purpose clarity in my own life. Hopefully you find this helpful too. Am I qualified to give you advice? Not at all. Tip 1. Test the waters. Don't obsess over finding an answer because chances are you won't figure out what you truly want to pursue until you try things out first. Not everything will click right away, and that's okay. What's more important is that you're out there gaining experience as opposed to just thinking about doing something. In other words, do all the free trials. You heard that right. As in, sign up for a free trial of a class, in person or online. Writing, yoga, improv. Feed your curiosity. Skillshare is one of my favorite online learning platforms, along with a couple others which I can share with you if you're interested, but I'm just going to promote Skillshare because right now it's my favorite. Skillshare offers a 1-month free trial for first-time users. Taking a class on Skillshare might just be the kick in the butt you need. Click my link below in the description box if you're interested in signing up. You don't have to use my link, but if you do, you'll get your first 2 months of Skillshare for free. Free trials don't just have to be limited to online programs or learning platforms. If you work from home, for example, and you have trouble concentrating as a freelancer or remote employee of a company, consider exploring co-working spaces in your neighborhood. I actually had a friend who went co-working space hopping, and she tried a bunch of co-working spaces that offered free trials to find a space that fit her preferences and budget. The point is, see what's out there, and again, test the damn waters. Tip 1A. Invest in yourself. Okay, so this is kind of an addendum to point 1 and maybe like a sub point. If you've been in the exploring phase for a while, maybe it's time to invest in continued education to make this happen. Obviously, you want to make sure the course or whatever it is you need to pay for is within your means. But aside from that, perhaps it's time to make the big move. For example, 2 years ago, I signed up for an online coaching program that I took a chunk out of my savings to sign up for and enroll in. I don't regret making this financial decision because the program helped me start my own online freelance business. If you sign up for a mastermind, for example, you'll likely have access to a mentor or an instructor who is way more experienced than you and can help you get to where you want to be much faster than if you were to do something by yourself. Not to mention, it'll introduce you to like-minded people who are kind of on a similar boat as you. Whatever the case, it pays to invest in yourself. That's a big lesson that I've learned over time. And obviously, if you are having trouble paying the bills and you have barely any money to invest, it's up to you and you should use your judgment. But if you can't actually afford the program or whatever it is that you're eyeing, you should really think about it. You might feel a pinch in your wallet right now, but sometimes it's worth the money and you'll actually end up getting a return on your investment. Honestly, I feel like when you invest in a course or purchase a resource that helps you learn how to accomplish something, no matter how big or small, I've found that you're more likely to carry out what you set out to do because you made a financial commitment and you don't want your money to go to waste. Tip 2. Give yourself permission to change your mind. Seriously, if you thought you'd end up in fashion and you don't want to work in the fashion industry anymore, that's okay. Just because you made a promise to yourself like 10 years ago that you were going to become a fashion designer or fill in the blank, it doesn't mean that you have to keep that promise. Sometimes the hardest thing to admit to yourself is that you no longer want what you thought you wanted. And this is something that I've been trying to come to terms with myself. Walking away is really hard, but take a deep breath and know that you can change your mind, because at the end of the day, it's your decision, not anyone else's. Also, on a related note, it's dangerous to be in this mindset of, if I do or have blank, then I will be happy or successful, or fill in the blank. I do this all the time and am working on it myself, but I think that as human beings, we have a tendency to hang our hopes on one thing and idolize people or objects or dreams because we feel like that will eventually bring us happiness, security, or whatever it is that you're seeking. Oftentimes, we're just setting ourselves up for huge disappointment when we do that. So, moral of the story, give yourself space to change your mind and decide whether or not you actually really want something. Because the truth is, you might not. Tip number 3. Focus and commit. Now, you're probably thinking, commit? How dare you? I thought you said you were a multi-passionate creative. So before you stop watching this video, which it's very likely that you might already have, but if you haven't, just hear me out. I'm not saying that you should and have to commit your life to one career path, major, etc., which obviously would go against the topic of this video. However, if you are genuinely interested in something, give that interest some time to develop and make a commitment to giving that thing your all. Do what you have to do to figure out whether or not this is something that you might actually consider pursuing as a career path or as a business opportunity or whatever it is. As a multi-passionate, I've definitely been guilty of starting a personal project and not following through on it. I've learned that it's better to focus on a few projects or interests at a time and then move on to the next thing. Tip number 4. Don't rush the process. If you only half-ass your commitment, then you may never really know if you're heading down the right path or if something is actually for you. It's better to give something 100%, just in my opinion, than to spread your precious attention thin. I know how tempting it is to want to do all the things and get those things done right now, right this minute. But the danger in doing this is that you become super overwhelmed and potentially stop enjoying what you once loved doing. So remember this. Just because you're pursuing one or two things right now doesn't mean that you'll never get a chance to work on all those other things that are on your list. It's all about focus, putting in the time, work, and effort, then moving on to your next big endeavor. Tip number 5. Figure out the why behind your goals. What's really driving you or motivating you at the end of the day? How do you want to serve others? How do you want to feel? Again, I don't think it's really wise to rely on passion alone, especially if you don't know what that is yet, or you just don't think you'll ever know. It's difficult to stay motivated or to follow through on a project if you don't know why you want to do it in the first place. If your why is really weak, you might end up not accomplishing what you initially set out to do. That's why I think it's important to start developing a sense of purpose, even if you only have an inkling of what motivates you and why you want to achieve certain things. For example, maybe you've always had a dream of becoming an event planner, but you've never done any internships or have any work experience in the events industry. Or maybe you can't get yourself to take the next step and gain actual experience in that field. If that's the case, think about why you want to become an event planner or why you're drawn to that field. Maybe it's that you've always been good at organizing things and you enjoy seeing people have a good time. By thinking about things like how you want to use your gifts and experiences to help other people, you are taking the focus off yourself and putting it on others. If you figure out why you want to take certain actions, then everything else will start making more sense, and the how part might end up just following. It's hard to kind of have faith in that idea, but I think eventually you will find opportunities that lead you to where you want to be. It might take some time, but at least you'll have a clearer understanding of why you want to pursue your dreams. Tip number 6. Recognize the patterns. See what I did there? I'll show myself out. Be attentive to the patterns in your life. Internships, extracurriculars, jobs, life experiences, hobbies, etc. Just take all of those things into consideration and draw parallels between all of those random experiences that you've had. You might be able to find some common threads. This is not to say that if you wanted to become an astronaut when you were a kid, you should try to become an astronaut now. But maybe it's that sense of awe or wonder or even just the field of science that you're drawn to. Take some time to put the pieces together and recognize the patterns. And for the last tip, tip number 7, make stuff. Personally, the best lesson I've learned as a freelancer, creative, whatever, and a lesson that I should probably implement more in my own life is to make stuff. Do shit. I know that starting is often the hardest part. Sometimes we overthink things and make excuses such as I'm too lazy or too busy or too stupid, etc. to do X, Y, and Z. And sometimes we don't even know how to start, which is why we don't take the first step. But if you have a dream / are interested in anything, start taking actions that will bring you closer to the thing that you want to do. Make or build the work that you want to be known or hired for. In order to have a body of work to look back on, you gotta start somewhere. In fact, you can start today. Maybe you want to get into design. And I'm just using design as an example because I actually had no formal education in design or work experience in design prior to freelancing as a designer, which I might get into in another video, but that's a story for another day. So let's say that you want to get into design. You can start creating a portfolio right now, even if it sucks in the beginning, because at the end of the day, at least you're making something. You could even take on free work, which I don't always recommend, but you could do that, or start self-initiated projects. I think we often underestimate the power of starting small. What I've learned is that there's a difference between starting small and playing small. Playing small is when you know you can do more, that you're capable of more, but you're not really using all the tools in your tool belt. You know you can take yourself to the next level, but you're staying inside your comfort zone. Starting small, on the other hand, is when you take that first step outside your comfort zone, but it's just a small initial baby step. There is a difference between those two things. I would know because I love staying in the comfort zone. Baby steps are great as long as you're leaving your comfort zone and taking concrete actions. There's nothing wrong with taking small steps. That's how everyone gets started. Heck, even this YouTube video for me is that first step. Anyway, I've listed a few resource recommendations below for any fellow multi-passionate folks out there, and hopefully these resources inspire you to take action today. Alright, well, thank you for watching this far, and I hope you found some of what I talked about helpful. I will continue to post random videos on this channel because it's just a passion project of mine, and I feel like everything that I'm working on has like an end goal, but for this, I don't know. I don't really know what I'm doing with this channel right now, but I just want to continue to post content that may be of value to someone out there. So thanks for watching and subscribe.